Storytelling is an important skill. In this video you will find that we can use storytelling to become a fluent speaker of English. You will find that right from childhood, even a small child likes to tell some story. Either they like to hear a story which they will repeat, maybe in their own mother tongue. So if we become like that, if we acquire that skill of storytelling, then we learn much better. Today, not only for fluent speaking, but even for success in professional life, even for high management positions, storytelling has become very important. But since all of you are learners of English and all of you are eager to become fluent in speaking, here is a video which will help you by telling you what type of stories, how to tell them, what is it that you have to keep in mind, and the way in which you need to practice. So let us begin. You can use various types of stories to master fluency. Think of all the stories which you know or which you have some experience with. Any incident or any series of incidents can form a story. Any situation which is a personal or a professional situation can form a story. You have in your own culture stories. If you have children, you will have to tell them stories. Then you will get to know a lot of children's stories. Remember, in the beginner's English lessons, I have given you the story of the elves and the shoemaker. Many people appreciated it. Such stories for children are very interesting. Long back I also gave you the story of Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens, a famous novelist of the Victorian times. It is a story about a small child and how an orphan actually becomes the inheritor of great riches. All these stories you can tell to improve your English. The way to use the story is that you identify certain incidents or certain points in the story, then you put them into English. If you think in your mother tongue, still you can stop doing that and try thinking in English. Once you have these points in your mind, try to speak it out fluently. Once you start speaking fluently, you will find that you are getting stuck, you are hesitating. Then you repeat the same thing again and again. So the important point is that choose some story. Every day you can't have the same story. So have different types of stories. Let me mention a few of these. Children's stories is what I'm sure everybody knows. We have many types of children's stories. Recently I gave you the story of a young devotee, Dhruva. Long back I gave you the story of Prahlad. We have the story of Ekalavya. These are all youngsters. They have great moral sense, and it is this morality which we are teaching children by telling these stories. You also have children's stories which develop your imagination, like the fairy tales, Cinderella and Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Red Riding Hood. These are many stories. You can just find out about them if you haven't heard them before, but if you have heard them, then try to recollect the story in your mind, put it into English. If you require help, you first write down the points. Look at the points and then speak them aloud. Then leave the points aside and try to speak without using a script, without using a piece of paper. You will find that you are able to tell that story by attempting a few times. And every time you attempt to tell the story, your fluency becomes better. Your self-confidence improves. Your English becomes clearer, and you also get rid of many mistakes. But then, first point is to choose some stories, and the second point is that you should practice telling them. You have plenty of stories when you read books. You will find a video where I have mentioned some books. I gave you the summary of those books, and I told you that if you read these books, you'll find it very interesting, and by reading, you improve your speaking fluency. So when you read a book, you speak about it, and that also is storytelling, because you might be reading a novel or you might be reading a short story. I have given you plenty of plays of Shakespeare and other literary texts where you hear the story first. You can tell all these stories. Now recently, one of you, our subscribers or our members of this channel, told me that I should mention audiobooks. I think that's an excellent suggestion. All of you can give various such suggestions when you write comments. If you suggest, then I can share it with everybody and everybody benefits. Audiobooks are where you can hear the story. The story is available online because today is the day of internet. Everything is happening using the internet. In the audiobook, somebody reads out the story to you. Especially if you are a student of literature also, you can hear the entire story. I have given you a two-part video, Saint Joan. Joan of Arc was a story which also I gave you. So when you listen, then you just get the story. That is the audiobook. Or when you watch a movie also has a story. Now if you can narrate all these stories in your own words, your English improves automatically. But you need to make a list of all what you are going to narrate. You're going to tell the stories for an entire week. Monday, this story. Practice 4 or 5 times. Tuesday, this one. Wednesday, the other one. In this way, make a 7-day plan. When you finish this, make another 7-day plan. When you do that, you find that you are getting immensely benefited by your fluency becoming that much better. Sharing your own personal experiences is also like storytelling. Suppose you had a very exciting day, then you would like to come and tell everybody about it. Usually we do that. When we come back home, we talk about it. When we reach office, we again might share with our friends something which is unusual, something which has happened. Experience sharing is also something which helps you in storytelling for fluency. You can use your own experiences, not depend on some story or not depend on some memory of your childhood stories, but look at what has happened to you. Another point which you can use is what is happening in the world around you. We know that there are wars going on. We know that there are elections going on in different parts. We know that political upheaval is there. We also know about the various other points. For instance, great discoveries. We know so many things which are important for life today. We know how young children these days are talking about preserving the environment, keeping nature safe. All these are points where you can narrate, where you can describe, and that becomes a part of storytelling. Stories are found in our own tradition, in our culture, in the ancient epics, right from the stories of the Vedanta times to the Puranic stories to Ramayana, Mahabharata. All these have plenty of stories for you to practice from. You also have books like the Panchatantra. You have the Bhakti saints, their lives, etc. So every country has its own tradition and culture, and stories are formed around it. History is a very important part of your tradition and culture. History also gives you great stories about important people who have been the leaders of society in the past. All these are examples from which you can take ideas for storytelling. Why I'm telling you all this is because you need to practice. Look at all the videos I have given you. There are videos on inspiring lives. You can talk about these people, great people. They are our culture. They are the ambassadors of our culture. You also have videos on important sayings of great people. Then you can use this to frame an entire story. Take a single line and make up a story about it. These things you can easily do for yourself. For instance, you have this story. I've given you a video on Swami Vivekananda. You have the saying, "Arise, awake and stop not till the goal is reached." Then you narrate an experience by saying that, as a teacher, I would tell my students to do this. And then I found that the goals which they have set are very interesting. 10 years later, when I met them, I found that I could be proud of the achievements of each of the students. Now what are you doing? You are telling a story. You're describing your own experience, but you're also using an icon from your own culture in order to tell this story. In this way, making connections, thinking in English, saying the same thing, practicing again and again, these are very important. Having told you about the types of stories which you can use for practice, now let me tell you about your audience. You can use the same story, but you must speak in a different way, tell it in a different way for a different group of audiences. To a certain group you might say a certain story with emphasis on a particular point. To another group you tell the same story but don't tell it like you did earlier. Then what happens is that you build up an empathy with your audience. That is, you start thinking about what your audience wants. You start understanding that this is the way in which I need to communicate with this kind of audience. This helps you immensely because you find that as long as you don't think of yourself by saying, I am learning English, I want to become fluent in English, then you don't really progress much. The moment you start thinking about your listener by saying that if I speak fluent English, if I speak English which interests others, then my English is becoming better. My English is becoming more fluent. So your fluency is not the first point. The primary point is your ability to communicate with your audience. That helps you immensely. Please remember that when we speak for others. We never speak for ourselves. And most of you tell me that you have problems of speaking with others. So first practice on your own and then try to understand who you are speaking with and what they expect of you. You might know that there are certain people who tell jokes in a wonderful way. People love to hear them tell these jokes because they say it in such an interesting way. And that is what your ability to speak fluent English should also have. That when you tell a story, everybody is eager to listen to it. Try practicing this. Now we come to the last point. Remember that till now I never spoke to you about your language, about your grammar or vocabulary or pronunciation or any of those things. Because first I want you to practice at whatever level you are, you start practicing. Don't keep worrying about whether I know correct grammar or I know grammar but I can't speak. All those worries stop your fluency. So now in the final point, concentrate on your language. Once you have practiced for a few weeks, all the other points which I have mentioned, now you come to analyzing your language. Because in storytelling to different types of audiences, you will choose language which is different. This will give you a wide variety of language. And once you choose that wide variety, you find that your storytelling improves. Please try whatever I have told you today. Practice for a few weeks. Then let me know how you are benefiting. Let me know whether this has helped you at all or not. When you send me your comments, only then can I know whether the videos are useful for you or they are not useful. Also, don't forget to practice as much as you require. Somebody might need more practice, somebody else might need less practice. But choose whatever you require and do it. I'm sure you will get immense benefit if you really do it. Thank you and all the best.